Kia ora everybody and welcome to the You Be The Judge podcast show. My name is Wiri Tamoni and welcome along back for another podcast show. We've had a variety of guests over the past year or so, and today we are rejoined again back with our very good friend who is running for the Whakatane mayoral candidacy, Dr Jacquelyn Elkington. Welcome, Dr Jacquelyn.
Kia ora, Wiri. Thank you for having me. And kia ora to all the listeners and especially the voters in Whakatane district.
Cool. Now, before we start, for new listeners, they might want to know who you are. So can you give us a little bit of a insight as to who you are and what you've been up to?
Sure. I'm Dr Jacquelyn Elkington, born in Motueka, Nelson. We shifted up to Auckland where my parents separated and been in South Auckland, raised, educated in Waikato and Whakatane, and sort of moved around between educational for the last 20 years as a lecturer of social science, and currently residing in Whakatane with our daughter and 4 children and beautiful family of in-laws and outlaws and cousins, and it's just a good time for us right here, right now.
Awesome. And now I see you are running for mayor in Whakatane at this time. And I want to ask the question, why are you running for mayor in Whakatane?
We need something different here, Wiri. We've got a council that is far too familiar with each other. They're too familiar with the structures of council and I believe less effective. It needs a change. We need some diversity in there. We've got people that have been serving 2-3 terms. It's time for a complete change-up. And we need a gear up. Even central government is needing a gear up. And who best to begin and initiate the push, the difference, but those of us in local government. So it's I thought about the council and becoming part of the council until I looked at the council and realised, we've got 3 Māori wards this year, Wiri, that are going to be included in the council structure, and 3 general wards. And that's going to take some negotiation because those discussions could turn to custard if they're not well facilitated. And by facilitated, I mean really just heard and listened and a safe space created so that the forum can pull out as many, there should be no censorship. I mean, we don't need hate speech either, but we're adults and we all have differing points of view that heard, acknowledged, discussed, put forward, because actually through all the different perspectives, we're going to get a multitude of solutions. And they're right there. They're there.
Great.
I'm getting them out.
Now, what point of difference do you bring to the plate compared to other candidates?
I think one point of difference that's important is that I actually haven't lived here for a long time or raised. I bring something fresh from outside. And I bring qualifications, I bring experience. I've been born into politics. As soon as I was born and was registered on certificate, I became a political being. We've been fighting in Waikato, Nelson, Auckland, the same issues. They're exactly the same issues around rates, around well-being, around housing, our social issues of the day. These issues have been no different, for which I've been fighting for all my life and generations, for land. We've been fighting for culture, our language. We've been battling to keep whānau together, to keep ourselves safe from social ills of the world. And so Whakatane is really no different. In fact, we are more we're battling with 1080 and fluoride and legislation that's just out the gate.
Exactly. And what are some of the things you will focus on when you make office?
I'm going to, thank you. I love your positivity. And that's what we have to think. That's the way we have to think about when we make office. And one of the things I'm focusing on is to abolish rates. I know people have said lower the rates. Said, no, we need to abolish the rates. If we look back at when the rates were brought into effect and the purpose of them, which after World War II, there was a need to help our central government, a need to help ourselves as a country. And but only until such time as that central government could pretty much look after the country with what it had. And so taxes were a part of that system. Well, if we have taxes and we're paying taxes and there is a lot of taxes being paid by our ratepayers, we don't need to pay rates. We've got the Māori remittance application. Those rates can be applied for and be remitted. That's for Māori who are living on freehold land that is Māori land. So what's good for Māori is good for others. And there are lots of non-Māori living on freehold land. And, do we need to offer that same opportunity? So basically, if there are ways to get around paying rates, then that's evidence to me that the government don't need. They're a donation. But a donation. People want to pay some, but they just don't want to be ripped off. So time to abolish rates. That's one of the things really I'm quite concerned and passionate about. One of the other things that I need to focus on and wish to look at very closely, and that is the COVID-19 Public Health Response Legislation, the Act. Now, initially, a pandemic may have been justified in locking down masks and medical treatments. But since Dr. Fauci's resignation, since Dr. Bloomfield's resignation, since more information has come to light, even batch contamination, growing jab injury and deaths, they are becoming a bigger concern than the actual initial COVID-19 itself. So an immediate public inquiry is required. Right now, that is the emergency. I like to also focus on self-reliance. So self-reliance is another message that I want to put across and implement when in office, because ensuring our own family needs and around housing, food, water, around the basic needs, and we don't need much. We actually don't need much in the way of a home and a bit of grass, some education, some work. We don't need much. And so when we have that and we're able to be somewhat self-reliant, then self-reliance builds security, self-reliance builds certainty. And that kind of certainty and security builds a consciousness around caring for others. Isn't it uncanny? When we care for others, we serve others, somehow our own needs get met. And to me, that's the difference. That's God in action. That's miracle of caring for one another. And so self-reliance brings other reliance, which I believe allows God or a higher force, the universe, all that is good in the world to also our wellness and well-being. Whakatane is quite awesome in that community boards have been kept. Community boards are valued. Many cities don't value them. I don't know why, because community boards that are hands-on, front line, know passionately and intimately the ins and outs of their community. So jump on a community board. What I need is your support. I need your jump on the page, jump on our Facebook pages. And when you see me in the street, pull me up, say hello, introduce yourself to me. And our car, it's got it's the white Mini. You'll see it sprinting around, like within the speed limits, of course, sprinting around town, and it's got Dr Jacquelyn Elkington on it. beep out, because when you beep to that mini, the mini will beep back. And that's a way of connecting, communicating, and saying, hello, let's talk. We've lost the art of talking, Wiri. You know, not many of us can sit down and have this kind of conversation that's frank, open, without feeling like we've got to be PC about something. Well, yeah, all things are political, and that's okay. So political needs to be more real, more transparent, and more honest and authentic.
That's great. Are there any challenges you're coming across at this moment in time with your campaign?
Yeah, I think the challenges are around the loss of trust in council and government in general, loss of trust in the authorities with whom we're supposed to be giving trust to help. We have a percentage of the population, not even 50% of our population is voting. So that's pretty low. That tells me that there is a population in Whakataane that don't feel cared for, that are not trust. And why aren't they trusting? Because they just don't feel cared for. And we have a council that has been making decisions without their input, without their consultation, without their acknowledgement. And so that's a huge challenge for council. It's a huge challenge for me because we need those votes. So it is about reconnecting, building trust, perhaps not in the system, but in myself as someone who is willing to speak up and change the system to suit us rather than us have to fit into a system that's not working.
And what areas of Whakataane need the most attention first?
Yeah, look, I'm going to say right in the CBD, Whakataane, Ohoki area. This is the area that I think needs the most, because that's where the illness is. I think too many people are looking at, Taniatua, Murupara, Masatara, these areas are not contributing, are not engaging, not participating. No, some of them are not. And the reason for that is the lack of trust. So I'm going to say that the problem area is right there in the middle of the city where a lot of the decisions are being made, pressured by those in the middle of the district who are pressuring council to just make the decisions that aren't really caring for the whole of the city, but for themselves.
You talked a bit about some of where your focus is going to be on. Are there any policies you want to introduce into office?
Yes, abolish rates policy. Abolish the rates policy. We don't need them. Government are gaining enough of our taxes on our goods and services, on petrol, on our wages. So I think the no rates policy will force council to work very hard to push and hold government to more accountability, and distributing more fairly and more equitably the taxes that do go there, to distribute those taxes, that revenue out to the districts. And so abolishing rates will certainly put the pressure on council to work harder for a fairer distribution from central government. And of course, the inquiry into COVID-19 Health Response Act just gives too much power to one or two people in the Ministry of Health to act and just invade homes when they feel needed. And we need to redefine that emergency definition. We need to redefine the word even vaccination, because too many words have been wordsmithed to mean something that they don't. So that would be my second policy. And the other policy around self-reliance is that every home will have a slimline water tank which is made from strong polyurethane. It can be designed to be part of a courtyard. We're talking 1,000 to 3,000 litres of water. And these are rainwater storage units that can be put on any and every property, aesthetically pleasing, designed to be a fence or a gate or screen off a court. I think as something like that is a beginning to storing water, a beginning to, should we be in an emergency, be able to have that resource, especially if we're looking at water that could possibly be fluoridated. A lot of people don't want fluoridated water. You need to collect your own rainwater. So that's one of the exciting projects that I would like to implement. And also even compost bins. It's working quite well in other areas of Waikato. And compost bins are provided to each home with instructions about how to make quality compost and for growing own gardens. All alliance that it's very doable. And I think it will help counteract the high cost of living at the moment in terms of feeding ourselves and our families.
Wow, those are awesome initiatives there. And I just love also the community garden aspect too. I think every area in New Zealand should have community gardens. They should have what I call the pātakas as well, food cupboards and even resource cupboards so people can take, golfing gear or tools and, let others use it. Get into that sharing thing community wise. And I think it'll help people in a long way. And I've been volunteering in Auckland, delivering food to various pātakas and places and that, and it's amazing to see in contact with the community and the actual people who are receiving it. And they're so grateful, and then they pay it forward, and then they give out to others as well. It's a really good community initiative, so it's good that we can see some of that happening down there in Whakatane as well. And are there actually any upcoming events or projects or anything you're working on that you want to share with us?
Wednesday the 7th, we have at 6 p.m. a fundraiser for the Legacy Accountants. They have an event at the Mata Breweries, and what is happening, we'll be sitting at tables, and the tables will be rotating to meet the candidates and get a little bit more time. The next day, Thursday, is 7 p.m. at the Galatea Murupara. We'll meet the candidates there as well.
Wow, that's awesome. So people can engage with the candidates, ask you questions, and just get some feedback from you guys. I think that's a really good thing. Do you reach out to people? And if so, what are your places or avenues where people can contact you or actually view your stuff on social media?
Absolutely. The vote for Mayor Jacquelyn Elkington for Mayor page on Facebook. I'm actually at the library. I hang out at the library in the Whakatane Public Library a lot because we run workshops and little clinics, and I'm especially prone to I love the pies, there's also pies that we get at New World right next door, but I hang out at the library a lot. I'm like books. And Sundays, Sabbath day, I'm at the chapel at the church, so drop in and come take sacrament with us. On Mondays, we do enjoy some ministry. So as we've been going out and visiting homes for those who want to. A number 021 167 6291. Call up and we come over, we sit down, have chats. Otherwise, council is usually on Thursday. I hang out at the council buildings as well for the meetings, and afterwards we stop, chat, debrief. Those are good opportunities as well.
Awesome, and I'll put all your contacts in the description below. And finally, can you give us one last insightful, meaningful message?
Be authentic. You want an input. Time is now. We can't waste time. This is the time now to speak up, stand out, be undaunted, be fearless, because you know what? The world is ours and it's our oyster, and let's just feast on it together. And I think we can go a long way. We can do a lot for our people, for ourselves, and each other.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Jacquelyn Elkington, and all the best on your journey to become Mayor of Whakatane. And yeah, let's see you in that office doing all the great things. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Wiri. You take care too.
Ka kite.
Ngā mihi. All right.